If a driver can't win both, the highest finisher, average finish, will get a $5,000 bonus from performance seeds. So these dirt races have taken on a special meaning this year.
Yeah, these drivers will certainly be digging. That's the operative word for sure as they race in the dirt here at Springfield and at DuQuoin in a couple of weeks. You know, one of the drivers to watch, certainly, and has been throughout the course of the summer, has been Taylor Gray. Taylor Gray has been remarkable. He has been on a stretch of, well, a lot of top fives that include a couple of victories already this year. In fact, his string of top fives was 5 races long until this past week at Watkins Glen. He finished 8th there, but it certainly looked for a very long time in Watkins Glen like that could be a top 5 as well. This is a driver who has a lot of momentum.
He won at Mid-Ohio. He won at Pocono, finished 3rd at Lucas Oil IRP. So getting a chance to race at Pocono was huge for him. Great run by him. The race was shortened, but in terms of racing, he's been red hot. He almost won the truck race at Lucas Oil IRP, and he finished 6th at Richmond in a truck since we saw him last on MAV TV.
And certainly had a shot at winning at Watkins Glen just a couple of days ago. Now, a driver that definitely is among the top contenders today is one of the best dirt track drivers in all of the country, Buddy Kovoid. And he is certainly a driver to watch, and he's one with, we caught up with a little bit earlier. Our third member of the broadcast team is Rob Klepper, and Rob spoke with Buddy.
It's been a very busy summer for the defending USAC National Midget Champion, Buddy Kovoid. 14 total wins this year. A big one at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Dirt Track. You won the BC 39 a couple weeks later. Put it in the show at the Knoxville Nationals. Won Rookie of the Race. And here we are at a 1-mile dirt track called Springfield, my friend, in the ARCA Menards series. How excited are you to be behind the wheel this 15, and how this whole deal come together?
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to this. This is something that I'd hopefully love to get into pretty soon, and the stock car stuff has always been really fun to me. With running the truck races and then doing some late model stuff now has been really fun for me. And but yeah, with my involvement with Toyota and being a development driver for them, they have a lot of great unique opportunities and partners and teams like Venturini Motorsports and Mobile One, to where I can do stuff like this. So I think my midget stuff has helped me open the door to get into some late model stuff, and then that's kind of helped me get in the door for some stuff like this. So hopefully today can be a good day, and hopefully maybe lead into more in the future. 2 truck starts this year, both on the dirt at Bristol and Knoxville, where you posted 11th place finish there on the half mile, the sprint car capital of the world, a place now you can almost call home after that great run at the Nationals. But how much do you think that's going to transfer over to the ARCA cars here on the big Springfield mile? I think as far as the feel, the weight, and probably the power, and as far as what it'll feel like being kind of sideways in the dirt, I think that'll be really similar, but I think the size here will be the biggest difference. With the straightaways, we didn't have quite that long straightaways, at Bristol and Knoxville compared to this. And then as far as just how sweeping the corner is, will be, to me, probably the biggest difference. But, I think the weight, to me at least, the weight and just the feel of the car is probably even greater. So it's nice to have some of that experience already in the bank.
Thanks a lot, man, and good luck today.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.
And Rob Klepper getting that interview for us earlier today. Now, Buddy Kovoid is in a rookie spotlight, Jim, but far from a rookie on this style of racetrack. Lots of guys here with much less experience than him.
He was hoping to get some laps in last night in the USAC Silver Crown race here at this racetrack, but it got postponed, and he ran 4th at the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl. He's made the main all 3 times he's attempted it. He raced with the powerhouse Keith Coons Motorsports, and at Knoxville, to make the A-Main's a big deal. To win Rookie of the Year by finishing 11th there, that's huge. That's a short list. And this young driver is red hot. No matter what he touches, he won this week, Tuesday, in the high limit sprint car lead that Kyle Larson put together. 22 grand already in the bank this week for him.
Big payday for him. And just to show you how much respect he's getting in the garage, earlier today I saw him surrounded by other drivers trying to pick his brain, trying to get an understanding of what he knows, hoping that maybe they'll let him in a little bit on the secret. But my guess is he was pretty tight-lipped.
And I imagine he's got Venturini teammates that wanted him first to talk about. This is one of his teammates, Jesse Love. He finished 5th and 10th last year on the dirt miles to the ARCA Menards series. This team, the number 20 team, he split some time this year with Corey Heim, and Jesse's in the car for the majority of the races, but they come in as the owner's points leader. And we're setting this race on owner's points, Mike.
Yeah, and because of that, Jesse Love will be the guy on the point, and he does have some dirt track experience. Let's take a look at the point standings now after Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen kind of shook things up just a little bit as Nick Sanchez was able to come away with a second-place finish there and now has extended his lead to 11 points over Daniel Dye. Meanwhile, Raja Karuth fell a little bit. He's now 16 points back and 5 points behind Daniel Dye. Meanwhile, Greg Van Alst and Tony Breitinger rounding out the top 5. Let's check back in with Rob Klepper down in pit road.
Guys, when you come to the Springfield Mile, Will Kimmel always shows up for the dirt races. 12 starts here, a handful of top 5s were 6th here last year. You came off the track. I think you were the 3rd driver I talked to about practice, what the track was like, and you were the 3rd driver to tell me the same thing. I don't know what we're doing here, man. This is wild.
Yeah, it's just the front stretch looked really good from what I could see, but I had my hands full with the E3 Ford, man. It was super rough. We lost a little bit of time throughout practice, so we start 18th. We just got to be patient, run these 3 segments like 3 races, and we'll go get them at the end. Watch your back.
Now, you were talking, or excuse me, we were talking earlier today prior to practice, and here when you come to the dirt races, it's about keeping that nose clean, keeping these cars cool, trying to keep them from overheating. That's pretty difficult when you start deep in the field. What's going to be the plan to try and stay in some of that clean air?
Honestly, I ventured up to like the 3rd groove a couple times in practice, so I might see if there's something there early on. I don't really have a lot to lose. I don't think I'll lose a lap, so that might be something that we do. It's just really hard to tell at this point. The track's rough. Sargent did the best he could with what he had. We had a lot of rain, so it is what it is. Everybody's on the same deal, and we'll make some adjustments, keep the nose as clean as we can, and we'll go from there.
Thanks a lot, Will.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
What I loved about that is that Will was gracious enough to tell Rob to get out of the way, watching his back. A lot of information, though, he gave there, especially about the track conditions, how important clean air is at this place. Now, give you a little more insight as to what the Springfield Mile is going to demand from these drivers today. Well, its configuration is 1 mile in length. It's pretty fast dirt oval. The distance today, 100 laps. Otherwise, of course, 100 miles. And we have the scheduled breaks at laps 35 and laps 70. Teams will have 8 tires in the pits. And, of course, this is a combination race, ARCA Menards Series, and, part of the Dirt Double, which we've already talked a little bit about. $50,000 on the line if you can win this race and DeCoin in just a couple of weeks.
And the series is so diverse. There's actually 4 races set aside throughout the year. The CGS Imaging 4 Crown, 4 different disciplines. If you win that title, it's a prestigious deal. Davey Allison won that in 1984, and there's been others since. But looking at this race, it's the Dirt Oval, represented on the 4 Crown, 4 races within the series. We also have Watkins Glen. We also have Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we're coming up on Salem Speedway to represent the short track. So you get the idea of how diverse things are, much less 2 big differences on one weekend here this weekend.
Yeah, it's just amazing how these drivers and these teams have had to adjust going from a road course to a dirt track. Just a completely different discipline, only 48 hours apart. So you've got to make that adjustment rather quick.
And we did have a practice session earlier today, but we did not have a chance to qualify these cars. So these teams are making adjustments now. We said owners' points will determine the starting lineup. So we see Tony Breitinger as yellow number 25 rolling out of the racetrack. A lot of teams that put in full-time effort this year, they get to start up near the front. Not all the teams that are dirt ringers will have that advantage.
Well, you might call this next guy a dirt ringer, if you will. He spent, quite a bit of time on dirt. We're talking about Ken Schrader, who's with Rob Klepper.
Yeah, guys, always cool to see Kenny Schrader here out the racetrack. 1990, my friend, the first time you got a win with the ARCA Menards Series was on a half-mile dirt oval, Hagerstown, Maryland. This place a little bit different. Track's a little tacky here today. How good is this car, and how are we liking our chances, Ken?
Well, let me get back with you. Track's a lot different than we practiced. They did a great job even getting it where we were able to run today. So we were 3rd quick in the short practice we had, and it'll be a lot different now. Let's see what we got. Gonna have to finish the thing first.
You're no stranger to doing double duty here. What was the sportsman cars like, and did you learn anything there in that race before you jumped in the ARCA car?
Yeah, I learned it's easy to knock the nose off.
There you go, guys. A lot of drivers back here keeping an eye, a lot of crew chiefs, I should say, keeping an eye on that front nose. Don't want to knock it off. I know Jesse Love, possibly the 15 car as well, had some issues there in that practice. We saw a right rear blow on the 43, a lot of aesthetic damage, if you will. They're still working on the Daniel Dye number 43, and remember, he's in this tight points chase.
It was interesting. He said he learned that it's real easy to knock the front off. Well, that's no small lesson. I mean, you need to know how to take care of your equipment in this race.
And the teams themselves are dedicated to knowing what they can on the race cars. And notice the front nose on this number 11. That's Schrader's ride. The Double H Ranch on there that Ed Pompa brought to the Andy Hilleberg teams, helping out kids that are under underserved. They've got a chance to go to a camp for free. It's awesome. But this nose piece, that's everything. What are you going to do to keep that mud from getting in the radiator to overheat these things?
Well, there's going to be plenty of mud being slung around this racetrack today, and these drivers will be flashing some steel and flexing some muscle as well. And, well, the kids, before the race starts, will be riding the rides. But the ultimate thrill ride today will be on the Springfield Mile. 100 laps of action here. It's about to get underway. Don't go away anytime soon, folks. We'll be right back.
This MAV TV Motorsports Network broadcast is brought to you by General Tire. For whatever you do, General Tire delivers. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
Well, we are just moments away from the command to start engines, and when that happens and the green flag flies, this is the man who will bring the field to the stripe. Jesse Love, by virtue of owner's points, is on the pole today. Qualifying, of course, rained out earlier, but Jesse Love is the man who will pace the field here early on, Jim, and he's going to be tough to beat when he's out front in clean air.
Yeah, the advantage of winning the General Tire Pole Award comes to the owner's points. He and Corey Heim have split the ride. Corey's the only driver of the two that has won a race this year, though, at Daytona to start the season, but they've had some really consistent runs, and Jesse is on a roll right now, but I know the pressure's building to win a race. It took till September of last year to win his first ARCA Menards Series race, so this is a great starting spot for a General Tire Pole Award winner here today.
And there's no question he's shown the ability throughout the course of the season that he can get it done and get to victory lane. Starts on the pole in the car that won here just 1 year ago. Don't go away, folks. When we return, We'll see the green flag here in the Atlas 100 at the Springfield Mile, one of the most historic dirt tracks in all of the country. You will not want to miss it. Lots of ringers and regulars looking for the victory. What a festive environment here at the Illinois State Fair. You can get your lemonade, your fresh-made donuts. You can even ride on the Ferris wheel, but that's not the thrill ride people are here to see. Nope. They're here to see the ARCA Menards series on the Springfield Mile. Lots of dirt going to be slung around. Going to be even more action than that. Some ups and some downs, and, well, somebody's going to be flying a little bit higher than this gondola when the thing's all over and said and done. Cars are now on the track for their pace laps. Let's take a look at how things will shake out when the green flag flies. Jesse Love starts on the pole. He'll be flanked by Nick Sanchez on row number 1.
Great run for Sammy Smith over the weekend on a road course. It's his first trip here to a dirt oval. He'll start inside row number 2. And Daniel Dye, man, he's up there in the points, but he's also going to have wide eyes in his first dirt start here in row 2 outside.
And back to row number 3. A man is trying to rebound from a little bit of a lackluster Watkins Glen race, but he is optimistic he can get it done. That's Raja Caruth alongside one of the most skilled dirt track drivers in the field, Buddy Kofoid.
Greg Van Alst, Tony Brodiger, top 5 in points, but also very young to dirt. Greg Van Alst's first start. Tony's just got last year's experience.
And we move back now to row number 5. A veteran of dirt track racing, to say the least. Ken Schrader starting on the outside row. Well, that's Amber Balkin, who's been through a bit of a tough stretch lately, trying to put that behind her.
Hey, Tim Monroe's got a great shot here for Andy Hillenberg back there in row 6, starting 12 in that 10 car. 2 top 10 finishes on the dirt 1 year ago for the guy who put so much effort in the shop. Getting a shot to race here at Springfield for Andy and the team.
Starting 13th in row number 7, Alex Clubb. On the outside of that row, a man inching closer to his 400th career start, Brad Smith.
This is the last 5 starters. Taylor Gray, Will Kimmel, Ryan Unsicker, and Kelly Kofsky. Man, these guys got a ton of experience. Taylor Gray, 2 top 5s last year on the dirt. It's going to be fun to watch them come forward.
And if there's one downside by starting qualifying by owner points, is that we see some of those talented drivers making their way from the back of the field. Now let's go trackside for one quick last-minute report from Rob Kleber.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. One driver to watch here in this race here today is Daniel Dye. We've been talking about the top 3 only separated by 9 points, but Dye, one of those drivers, first time here at Springfield Mile, first time on the dirt. In fact, he told me, I don't know if I've ever been to a dirt track. It's possible that I may have walked across the dirt at Volusia Speedway Park there in Florida, he said, so I have my work cut out for me here today. I do not know what to expect, but I'm going to watch some of the veterans try and learn the limits of this race car. They had some issues in practice, popped the right rear tire, did a lot of aesthetic damage to the right rear quarter panel. Crew was working hard down here to get it ready to rock. They got it fixed and got him out, so he's going to be one to watch here today, guys.
All right, Rob, thank you. He's got his work cut out for him, having to start back there after the practice he had, Jim.
Going to check in quick in the MAV TV booth with Ryan Unziger. Ryan, you're slated to start 20th. You know how to win here. How about these early laps starting as far back in the 24?
We got our work cut out for us here, definitely for sure. Starting this far back. Track's a little choppy, but the Cinder Motorsports team, we're going to do the best we can here.
We wish you well, sir. Thank you.
Going green this time by, green this time by.
Let's take a quick look at our onboard cameras. Our Bounty onboard camera with the 18, Sammy Smith. He'll give us a good view. He's expected to be up toward the front, battling for the checkers today. No question about that. Our General Tire on board, Jesse Love, our pole sitter, will be carrying that. He's going to give us a clean view here when we see the green flag. We're looking forward to that as well. Green flag is out, and Jesse Love is on the gas. Nick Sanchez to the outside. They're door-to-door headed down into turn one. Jesse Love has the advantage, but not by much. Only about a car length. Now he rides that lower groove, stretches it out. He's got a 3-car length lead on the back straightaway.
And Nick Sanchez trying to get a grasp on the outer line in that white number 2. It's his first ever dirt race. So getting the handle on it, going down the backstretch. He has his hands full with Sammy Smith streaking by the inside in that black 18. And teammates touch there. The 6 of Rajah Caruth almost took out his teammate Nick Sanchez.
Yeah. A little bit of friction, a little bit of contact there. Nick Sanchez able to correct things, though. Sammy Smith, though, on the run toward the front. Didn't waste any time taking advantage of the bobble and making his way up to second.
That's the number 15 of Buddy Kofoid. Look how true he is in the corner while others negotiate their first time at speed on the racetrack. That's the number 6 of Rajah Caruth hanging it out right behind him.
It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes for Kofoid to get to the front. He is a talented dirt track racer in a very good piece of equipment. Looking to the bottom of the racetrack there underneath Caruth. Caruth up top. Slings it around the corner, gets a bit sideways. Kofoid able to take advantage. He's got it glued to the bottom rail.
Rajah Caruth is holding his own on the outside. I thought by now he'd lose a couple of spots, but he's hanging out on the outside of Buddy Kofoid, going for position on the dirt track specialist. Here comes Rajah Caruth in the first time in the dirt, just getting up way above what would be the cushion right now.
His teammate just in front of him on the outside groove. That's Nick Sanchez in the 2-car. You can see a little bit of a bobble there. These drivers were telling me earlier, Jim, they really want to keep the car as straight as possible. It doesn't drive like a typical dirt track.
And what they have to do is get up and run it, because we talked about those cars at the back of the field. Taylor Gray is already up to 7th, so they know the time is short for them to move forward here. This is Daniel Dye in the Race to Stop Suicide onboard camera. Seeing how he can run, it's his first time here. We heard from Rob Klepper about how that goes. He's still sitting in 6th, but I expect him to have some company here shortly from Taylor Gray.
And you can already see through that view how much mud is getting on the windshield. And it's only early on here. We're only a few laps into this race, and the dirt is kicking up pretty good here. Big cloud of smoke as these drivers make their way through. Meanwhile, it's still Jesse Love out front.
Whoa, Dye just got in the soup in turn 3 and came right up the racetrack, right into Taylor Gray.
And Daniel Dye off the pace.
Dye got up into Taylor Gray. Might have jumped out of gear there momentarily. Big moment there for Dye. Came in 2nd in the points here.
Here's a look at what happened between him and Nick Sanchez here. Dye down low, slides up the racetrack and body slams Sanchez. Taylor Gray also involved. Good evasive action there. Looks like he avoided it.
He got into Sanchez, and that's the first time Sanchez has been side slapped on a dirt track, so he recovered nicely as well in that 2-car.
And it looks like Daniel Dye may be back up to speed at this point in time. We're looking out the Race to Stop Suicide onboard camera on the 43 car of Daniel Dye. It looks like he's back up to speed, Jim.
Lost a couple of spots. Dallas Frew heading to pit road for a couple of adjustments. I wouldn't doubt if some of these teams are already seeing the temperature gauge rise. We saw the nose on these cars, different configurations to keep the dirt out of it. Well, guess what? We are now full song, and those noses are getting mighty caked with mud, so it's a matter of how to keep that clean air coming in and not mud clogging up to cause overheating issues.
And it's interesting to see how they're attacking this racetrack right now. When they drew up the schedule, they weren't expecting it to be quite as tacky. Lots of rain came through here today, and yesterday, I should say. Left this track in really bad condition this morning. Big shout out to the track crew who got it ready for today's race. Let's check back in with Rob Klepper.
about the Trek Enterprises crew, guys. For sure, Bob Sargent, everyone here at the Springfield Mile doing a great job. The 01, you mentioned Dallas Frew out of Aurora, Illinois. 4th career start today. He pulled in, like you mentioned, a lot of mud on the front end of that car, as well as the number 48 of Brad Smith, making his 399th career ARCA start. Already 2, maybe now 3, possibly 4 cars making their way here into the pits.
And caution on the racetrack. You can see Amber Balkin involved. This is the last thing she wanted to see. She's gone through a very difficult stretch, especially after what happened at Watkins Glen just a couple of days ago. She took a hard hit there and was trying to turn things around. This will not be the day it happens. Tony Breidinger also involved.
I saw Tony coming to pit road. That nose looked like it was really disconfigured on the bottom. The bottom valance might have been chopped off of there. These 2 female racers are racing full-time this season, currently 5th and 6th in the points. Every point matters as we're now heading in. This is the 14th race of the season. It's a big deal to get as many points among themselves as well as staying in the top 5 in the hunt for the championship, with Greg Van Alst making his debut here on the dirt, trying to pick out the mud. You see that Mark Rhett's got experience here. Parker Kligman won here with the similar configuration on the nose that Amber has here today. But looking at how things are caked in there early, big trouble for these drivers running full time in Amber's first trip here.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, a very tough stretch for Amber Balkin. And it started earlier this weekend at Watkins Glen. Let's take a look at exactly what we're talking about here. Amber was having a pretty decent run throughout the course of the day. You can see here that, the class of field. Let's go back to what actually transpired at Watkins Glen. You know, Sammy Smith, Taylor Gray, they were battling for the win most of the day.
That was the last
to
lap
the
of
last
the race.
lap restart. That's right. And you saw Taylor Gray wash up into Sammy Smith.
Might have got some help from Brandon Jones from behind to get him out in that corner so wonky. He and Sammy Smith talked it out after. That's what their summation was. Sammy told me might have been Brandon Jones making the effort, but guess what? Brandon Jones crossed the line first at the Watkins Glen racetrack.
Yeah, and we look back now at Amber Balkin, what we were talking about, her crash. She hit really hard at Watkins Glen. And she came out of it very frustrated, you could tell. The stretch of races she's gone through recently has not been what she was looking for, and this will not help. Let's check in with Rob.
Well, guys, we saw Amber Balkin come here into the hot pit area, was spitting out a lot of fluid, so obviously overheating for that number 30 car as she will make her way back out into the racetrack. They had the hood up, got the fluid figured out, put the hood back down, but I was very excited to see her at this racetrack. Of course, she's run wing sprint cars with